Ad Astra tells the story of Roy McBride, played by Brad Pitt, the son of a very famous and now legendary astronaut who disappeared years ago during a deep space mission and was presumed dead. One day, Roy receives a sign that his father might still be out there somewhere and embarks on a mission to find him before some really bad things that I won't spoil happen, and maybe learn some things about himself along the way. Ad Astra kinda came out of nowhere. I had seen zero advertising for it. I didn't even know it had premiered yet until I checked the times at my theater and saw it was playing yesterday. So the studio has not done much to get the word out about this, and having seen it I understand why. And that's a shame because this is a great film. Ad Astra has a lot of things going for it. It has some of the most jaw-droppingly gorgeous cinematography you're gonna see in a movie this year. It has a great cast. Yes, it's like 95% Brad Pitt, and any other character that matters has a pretty small role, but it still counts. It has the most harrowing outer space sequences I've seen in any movie since Gravity. And it's also kind of a rarity in current year in that they never tried to Hollywoodize or Michael Bayify things. They never try to add action just for the sake of having more explosions on the screen or anything like that. And with a film like this, it would have been very tempting to do that, to try to punch things up or make it more traditionally exciting for the average moviegoer. But they don't. Instead, they keep things about as grounded in reality as a film like this could be. They really committed to what I imagine was the filmmaker's vision for this thing, and with a movie that surely had a pretty sizable budget, you don't see studios taking risks like that very often. And unfortunately, I do mean risk. The whole time I was watching it, I was saying to myself, movies like this are the reason why 2001: A Space Odyssey could never be made today. Because while Ad Astra does have a lot of positives about it, it's also long, slow-paced, cerebral, and has a very somber tone to it with not one single drop of humor. Now, could a little bit of levity here and there have lightened the mood and helped relieve the tension? Sure, but that wasn't the kind of story they were telling. And I can definitely admire the way this film sticks to its guns, but I also appreciate that it's most likely gonna fail at the box office because of that. That's why I really have to respect the studio for taking the risk they did here, because if they had called an audible and insisted on the filmmakers adding more jokes or more stuff to satisfy the action junkies, it may have gotten more people in the theater, but it also would have compromised the story they were telling. And that was one of the more surprising aspects of this. At a glance, Ad Astra might look like some big, sprawling space epic, but it's really a very quiet, introspective, intimate drama about a guy trying to find his father and figure out who he is and the person he wants to be. It reminded me a lot of Interstellar, actually, just with the sci-fi aspects toned down from a 10 to like a 2 or a 3. It's a very personal movie rather than an adventure movie, almost to its own detriment at times. If I had one major complaint, it's that the story is so personal and so focused on Brad Pitt's character that the other characters and world-building aspects aren't explored or developed as much as they could have been. There are human colonies on the moon and Mars in this film, and they barely scratch the surface of those. There's one sequence involving a bunch of lunar rovers where a new plot element is introduced very suddenly and then disappears just as quickly, and I don't know why, because that could have been really exciting if they'd done more with it. But for the most part, they keep things very tightly focused on Brad Pitt and his mission. Everything else, including other story elements, is kind of a backdrop in this film. And there is some brilliant filmmaking on display here, but the problem is that the things I respect about the movie so much are the same reasons why it's almost certainly not going to make a lot of money. There are no laughs to be found anywhere. The action set pieces, while extremely impressive, are few and far between. And a lot of the film is spent with Brad Pitt just thinking about stuff and contemplating the possibilities of things. And while that can make for an interesting story that'll definitely make you think, it's not a crowd-pleasing movie. And it's going to have a hard time recouping its budget because a lot of people who do see it likely won't appreciate it for what it was trying to do here and will just be bored. And I understand that. This movie is not for everyone. And I just think that's a shame because I think studios should be rewarded for taking risks like this. Ultimately, this is the story of the very personal journey of one character, and everything else is secondary, including things that could have helped put more asses in seats. And if you find that compelling, you'll probably like this movie. But if said personal journey doesn't do it for you, there's not much else for you to sink your teeth into. And while I do respect the film a lot for committing to the bit, so to speak, business-wise, that might not have been the best decision they could have made. Ad Astra is the kind of movie that you really don't see much of anymore. This is a visually stunning, smart, mature film that unfortunately is playing to a very select audience that I highly doubt is big enough for this thing to turn a profit. So you might say that Ad Astra will be the best film to most likely tank at the box office this year. And that's too bad. Let me know what you thought of this review down below. Smash that bell icon and follow me on Twitter using the link in the description box so you'll always know when new videos get uploaded, and give the YouTube algorithm a much-deserved middle finger by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Do all the things. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with more videos. Over. Out.